Welcome back to our Dao De Jing series. Let's continue with Chapter 3. In this episode, we'll explore whether Laozi truly advocated for keeping people ignorant. Chapter 3 mentions 3 chaotic situations in the world: people competing with one another, turning to robbery, and being disturbed in their hearts. Then, the sage appears. How does the sage govern the people? Let's first listen to the original text. Not exalting the worthy prevents rivalry among the people. Not valuing rare goods prevents theft. Not displaying desirable things prevents people's hearts from being disturbed. Therefore, the sage governs by emptying their hearts, filling their bellies, weakening their ambitions, and strengthening their bones. He always ensures the people have no knowledge and no desires, and makes sure that those with wisdom do not dare to act. By practicing non-action, there is nothing that is left ungoverned. The meaning of the original text is not complicated. It simply says that by not exalting exceptional individuals, the people won't compete or compare. By not valuing rare items, people won't turn into thieves. And by not displaying things that arouse desire, people's minds won't be disturbed. Therefore, when the sage governs the people, he simplifies their thoughts, fills their bellies, weakens their ambitions, and strengthens their bodies. The people are kept without knowledge and without desire, and those who are wise do not dare to act rashly. By following this principle of non-action, nothing is left ungoverned. In the Dao De Jing, 20% of the content is about chaotic situations in the world. So, what causes this chaos? It primarily comes from 3 actions of the ruler. First, if the ruler exalts the worthy, that is, praises exceptional talents, the people will compete. The word worthy xian in ancient times referred to excellence, whether in virtue, ability, or wisdom. In other words, when describing someone's level, it was often judged from 3 angles: virtue, ability, and wisdom. If a ruler praises certain individuals as exceptional, the people will naturally compete for recognition, just as students compete when teachers constantly praise the top performers. In Zhuangzi's outer chapters, there's a story about a man from the state of Yu whose parents passed away. Out of grief, he became emaciated and was appointed as an official because the rulers believed he was extremely filial. The people of the village, wanting to imitate him, all began to starve themselves, leading to many deaths. This story reminds us that when rulers exalt certain qualities, the people will follow, often to dangerous extremes. Laozi continues by saying that if the ruler values rare goods, the people will turn to theft, robbery, and deception. And if the ruler displays things that people desire, their hearts will be disturbed. In today's commercial society, this issue is even more common. Laozi uses these 3 points to explain how chaos arises, and he places the responsibility on the ruler. This reflects the situation in ancient times. Next, how does the sage govern the people? Laozi says the sage does 4 things. He simplifies their hearts, fills their bellies, weakens their ambitions, and strengthens their bodies. In this context, simplifying means keeping people's thoughts simple, filling their bellies while keeping their minds unburdened. Furthermore, the sage weakens their ambitions but strengthens their bodies, encouraging them to live healthily but with fewer desires. This way, the sage addresses both the physical and mental aspects of the people, ensuring their physical well-being while keeping their minds free from complex thoughts and desires that could cause trouble. This leads us to a critical term: the sage ensures the people have no knowledge and no desires. This phrase has led to many misunderstandings of Laozi, with some accusing him of advocating for a policy of keeping the people ignorant and desireless. But here's the question: is this policy of ignorance a method or the goal? If it's a method, it is intended to prevent the people from falling into competition, theft, and chaos, ensuring a peaceful society. The simpler the people's knowledge, the better, because knowledge often leads to desire. At this point, we can further explore the difference between having knowledge and desire versus being without them. Humans, being rational, naturally want to know more, but what exactly do they know? If their knowledge is correct, their desires will also be correct. Later, Laozi talks about the desires of the sage, which are naturally good and positive because the sage's knowledge is correct. But how do we judge whether knowledge is correct? Laozi previously explained 3 levels of knowledge. First, knowledge that distinguishes things. Second, knowledge that helps avoid danger. And third, knowledge that illuminates wisdom. Ordinary people, unfortunately, are stuck in the first level using knowledge to make distinctions. Once they make distinctions, desires follow. Knowing what is better leads to striving for it, just as exalting the worthy leads to competition, valuing rare goods leads to theft, and displaying desirable things leads to desire. If your knowledge is flawed, your desires will be flawed as well. I remember being taught in elementary school that if you see a snake with an oval-shaped head, it's non-venomous, but if it has a triangular head, it's poisonous. But the reality is not that simple. This illustrates how people rely on basic distinctions to survive. Throughout history, humans have relied on distinguishing between what is safe and what is dangerous, harmful or harmless, as a fundamental survival skill. The second level of knowledge is using knowledge to avoid danger. Someone who is well-read and experienced can anticipate future problems and take steps to avoid them. There's a saying, the tallest tree in the forest is the first to fall in the wind. Just as a tree that stands out will be the first to be blown down, people who display their talents too early may become targets. The third level of knowledge is enlightenment, where knowledge serves as illumination. Laozi values this concept of enlightenment, and we will explore it further in future chapters. In conclusion, Laozi's purpose is for the sage, who has realized the Tao, to govern the people. This philosophy of non-action Wu Wei is central to Laozi's political theory. On the surface, the sage appears to do nothing, but in reality, through not exalting, not valuing, and not displaying, the sage ensures that all things fall into place naturally. In comparison to Confucianism, which believes in governance through benevolence, Daoism emphasizes a deeper wisdom, governing without deliberate action and allowing things to follow their natural course. What can we take from Chapter 3? While we may not embrace the idea of returning to a simpler, more primitive society, Laozi's advice can still serve as a personal reflection. Are we caught up in a state of confusion, with constantly shifting thoughts and desires? Can we, as Laozi suggests, simplify our minds and reduce our desires to find peace?